We're here in Fountain, Colorado, and we're at a Veterans Memorial. And the point of a Veterans Memorial is to remember the people who have entered military service and have fought in wars. Some of them fought and lived to see the next day. Others were killed in action, and others were prisoners of war and were termed missing in action. And missing in action simply means that they were taken prisoner and that they were simply never found. And so when you see this thing called Paumia, that's what that means. You are not forgotten. And so the point of these memorials is to remember all these people. In front of us is a list of names on bricks, and I'll just pick a random one here. John Roosevelt, Gary Poole. These are names, these are lives, and these people grew up and they entered military service, and they would have entered one of 6 different organizations within the military, and those are the Department of the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Marines, or the Coast Guard or National Guard. And so what's pretty interesting is when you look at these names, what you see are stories. Men who entered military service and served in different wars, whether it be Vietnam, or let's see, U.S. Army World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq. And so they served in different wars, and they served in different functions. Some were medics, others were flying planes in the Air Force, others were fighting on the ground as Marines. And so whenever you pass places like these, it's a remembrance of the people who entered war. And you see these memorials all over the world. Every single country has war memorials. And the point is simply to put these names in stone so that people don't forget that a lot of these men gave up their lives for the freedom of the citizens. And that's written very clearly right here as we read, in honor and remembrance. Remember that they went to war, and honor them because they're risking their lives for the freedoms of the people within the country that they serve. So this says, this memorial is dedicated to Fountain Valley veterans of all wars, big and small. Meaning that all the people there were residents of this town, and they fought in different wars. Some of them served. That means some of them fought in war. Some of them fought and fell, which means they died. And some did not return. They died in war. You heard your country's call to be served with pride. What does that mean? It means that they elected to enter the military, and as they say, respond to the call of the country to serve it. And because of your service, meaning because you entered the military, and your sacrifice, whether that means giving up your life or simply giving up your time, energy, and resources in order to go fight in a war, we remain at liberty, we remain free, meaning we're not under the control of another country, to enjoy our precious freedoms and our American way of life. Thank you. So that kind of just, through words, that describes what these memorials are all about and why they exist. So whenever you pass one of these, realize that what you're looking at isn't just names. It's people who've made gigantic sacrifices, sacrificed their lives in some cases, in order to serve and protect the country in which they served. So if these didn't exist, there would be no real remembrance of the people who engaged in these wars, and it would be relatively, how do you put it, pointless in some regards, because there'd be no real historical record of the great sacrifice they made. So these memorials are actually incredibly important for the people who served, as well as the people who are related to them, and anybody who served in the military will have a deep respect for these memorials, and realize and recognize that they're very important public recognition of service in the military.